Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Eric and I'm glad you could join us today because we're going to be doing something a little different in today's video. It's kind of like a first for the channel. If you've been here for any length of time, you'll know that we make a lot of sausages and a lot of salami. And in those videos, we emphasize certain rules. One of them being temperature. Keep your temperature of your equipment, of your meat cold at all times. Well, a comment came through just recently on one of our videos that said temperature really wasn't all that important in the process of sausage making or salami making, but what was really important is the quality of your grinder. So he said, if you're producing low quality sausages, you should think about getting a better grinder. And it sparked an idea. What if we put those sausage making theories to the test? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make two sausages. Both sausages identical in every way, same amount of fat, same amount of protein, same spices, and the only difference is that we're going to keep one partially frozen and chilled through the process of grinding and mixing, while the other one we're not going to pay a lot of attention to temperature, and then we're going to cook them and see what the difference is. Thanks for joining me on this experiment where we put sausage making theories to the test. Let's get started.
Okay, let's get this experiment started. We are starting off with 2 trays of meat. Both trays have 1,000 grams of meat and fat, and in each one it's a basic 70-30 ratio. So 700 grams of meat, 300 grams of fat, and we're just going to go ahead and process this and get it ready for our grinder the way we normally would. At this point, the meat has only been refrigerated, and so it's probably in the mid-30s. We're going to take the temperature throughout this process so that you can see what happens at each step. Once we get this cut up, we're going to go ahead and take one tray and place it into the freezer. The other tray is just going to go into the refrigerator until everything is ready. And from that point forward, we're not going to pay a whole lot of attention to temperature. So it's been about 30 minutes, and I think our meat is chilled enough. I like to normally chill my meat when I grind it to between 30 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and it looks like our meat is about 30.6. All right, so perfect. This tray just came out of the refrigerator, and when we take the temperature of that, it's only in the high 30s, so 39, 40 degrees, and that's what we're going to be working with. So let's go ahead and grind the refrigerator meat first. I'm going to be using a number 22 grinder from the Sausage Maker. This particular grinder has got a 1.5 horsepower motor, so it's got a very strong motor, and the blades and the plates have been recently sharpened. All right, so this is what our refrigerator meat looks like as we're grinding it. Pay special attention to the grind of the meat itself. You know, we're going to compare that to the other one here in just a second. And when you make sausage, is this what your grind looks like? All right, maybe this looks familiar. All right, so this has been ground up, and we're now going to go ahead and just kind of take a look at our mix, remove any remaining meat that's on that grinder, and see what it looks like. All right, so right off the bat, you can definitely tell that this particular grind is a little bit softer. Notice my fingers, they are a little greasy, and when I grab a small handful of the actual ground meat, although you can clearly see the individual strands, it actually feels a little gooey, so it's not very loose as ground meat. All right, so that's what that's going to look like. Let's go ahead and move over to the meat that has been put in the chiller. Notice that it's a lot more solid going into the grinder. And as we pay attention to this particular grind, it looks similar. Notice it's coming off of the plate. This is a 6mm plate. A lot easier. The strands are falling off into the basin that I'm using to catch the meat. And it definitely has a different look to it. So in this case, when I grab a handful of it, you can see that the meat is a lot more loose. So it doesn't feel nearly as gooey. My fingers aren't greasy when I grab it. And each individual strain is independent. All right, so those are the two differences of the grind. Let's go ahead and take the temperature at this stage. We have just ground the meat, and this one right here on the left has been only in the refrigerator. Remember, this one is at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's now at 56.2. So it's increased in temperature by 16 degrees, 16.5 degrees, while this one was at 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And after the grind, this one has increased to 34.5. All right, so minimal increase with the one that's been in the freezer, huge increase with the other one. I'm going to go ahead and put the freezer meat back into the freezer, and we're just going to go ahead and mix the one that's only seen the refrigerator. As far as seasonings go, the exact same spice profile, salt, pepper, garlic, a little cured #1. We're not using any binders or anything like that for this recipe. All right, so this meat, remember, was at 56 degrees Fahrenheit. After grinding, we're now mixing it. At this point, we're not going to put it under refrigeration. We're just going to add our spices. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water that's going to help loosen up that batter a bit and help everything come together a little bit easier. We're mixing this in a KitchenAid stand mixer. The setting is on low, so we're not trying to generate a lot of friction. We're just going to be mixing this until that meat mixture just comes together and I can grab a small handful of it and it sticks to my hand. And at that point, we're going to stop mixing and we're going to go ahead and move on to the other one. And it looks like we're there, so let's go ahead and take that out of the bowl and put in the other meat. Now, this meat just came out of the freezer. It's back at about 30 degrees to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to add our spices. We're going to add the exact same amount of water to loosen that batter up. And then we're just going to mix this until that meat mixture comes together. I did notice that in the mixing process, this colder meat, the batch that we have right here, took an additional 30 or 45 seconds of mixing in order for it to finally get to that stage where you could grab a handful of it and it'll stick to your hand when you turn it upside down. But that's what this is going to look like. Our meat is good to go. We're done. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at them side by side. The one on the right has been chilled through this entire process. The one on the left, that one right there, we're not paying attention to temperature. Notice the difference in color. You definitely have more particle definition on the one that's been chilled. And as far as temperature goes, after mixing, the one that has come out of the freezer is still very cold. So mixing did very little to increase the temperature, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. The one that we haven't done much to, remember this was 56 degrees before mixing. It's now at 67, so that's an 11-degree increase after mixing. That's pretty significant. All right, so let's go ahead and get these into their casings. We're going to prick them, and then we're going to let them rest overnight. And then tomorrow, after, they've had a chance to rest, we're going to go ahead and give them a cook the way we normally would under the exact same conditions and just see what the difference is. All right, it's now the next day. Our sausages have rested overnight in the fridge. The one on the left, we've paid attention to temperature. The one on the right, we have not. And it's time to cook them. Now, we're going to be cooking this in our smoker because this smoker, by smoking it, allows me to precisely control the temperature. We could start very low, gradually increase the temperature over a couple hours until our sausages are fully cooked. Cooking our sausages like this, basically low and slow, is going to help us retain the maximum amount of fat inside of our sausage. But we do have some drip pans under our sausage. In the event that any fat renders out, we can catch that and then take a look at that later. Our schedule is going to look like this. We're at 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. That's basically going to dry our sausages out. We're going to increase the temperature to 135 and cook it there for 2 hours. Then the smoker is going to increase the temperature to 155. It's going to cook there for 2 hours. And then finally, it's going to go to 180 Fahrenheit until the internal temperature of our sausage reaches 150 degrees. All right, so our sausages have finished cooking. They've cooked for about 7 hours, roughly. And let's go ahead and take a look at the sausage that's been kept partially frozen through the grinding and the mixing process. So this is what it looks like. It actually feels nice and plump. Casing is firmed up quite nicely, which I expected that it would. And let's go ahead and take anything that's rendered out from that drip pan and pour it into the small ramekin. Take a look at what that looks like. So we did have a little bit of fat render through this 7-hour cook. And there we go. That's what that's going to look like. All right, so let's go ahead and now take the other one out. This one, we have not paid attention to the temperature. And as you saw through the process, by the time we were stuffing it, it was in the high 60s. It actually looks great. I mean, the casing has firmed up quite a bit. The sausage, though, does not feel nearly as plump. It's an interesting feeling, hard to describe. We'll talk about that more here in a second. And this is the fat that was rendered out from our sausage after this 7-hour cook. And clearly, there's a huge difference between the amount of fat that we lost from one sausage versus the other. So let's go ahead and give this a closer look, and then we'll cut into it and give it a taste. All right, so share with me your thoughts so far. What do you think? This sausage has been partially frozen through the process, and this sausage, we have not paid attention to temperature. They look pretty similar, with the exception of the amount of fat that was rendered out. This fat weighed out to about 18 grams, and the fat rendered out of the other sausage weighed out to just a little over 100 grams, like 102 grams. So in the sausage where we did not pay attention to the temperature, we in essence lost 33% of the fat that we initially added. This is our sausage that was kept partially frozen through the process. And as you can see, nice bind, incredibly juicy, no problems there. Let's grab another little piece, take a peek at it. Yeah, it looks great. Looks like a great sausage. Nice, smooth slice. No big problems. And that looks delicious. We're going to be eating this here in a second, by the way, so I'll let you know what it tastes like. This is the sausage that we did not pay attention to temperature. Let's take a look at what the difference might be in regards to texture. Right off the bat, I can tell you that it's not nearly as bound together. It's certainly not as juicy as the other one. It actually has more of a crumbly texture to it. All right, so let's just go ahead and give this the good old-fashioned taste test and see what the difference is as far as the way they taste.
So at first glance, both of these sausages look acceptable. I mean, great color. The casing is nice and tight. Looks like it's adhered well. But this sausage lost 33% of the fat that we added, while this sausage only lost about 6% of the fat that we added. So let's just go ahead and give it a taste and see whether or not that makes that big of a difference. Because after all, I mean, this still has 66% of the fat that we added, or roughly about 200 grams. So here we go. This is the one we did not pay a lot of attention to the temperature through the process. Let's give it a taste. Okay. Casing has a nice snap. The flavor of the sausage is on point, but the sausage itself is, it's got like a mealy texture. It's a little crumbly. I wouldn't go so far as to say it tastes like dried cardboard in my mouth, but it's getting close. I think that if we would have cooked this sausage on a hotter surface, a barbecue pit, you know, on the stovetop or something like that, we certainly would have probably rendered out more fat because that initial heat is a lot higher. And so it's not bad, but you can definitely tell it's a lot drier and a lot more crumbly than a regular sausage should be. All right, let's go ahead and taste the sausage where temperature was closely monitored. We kept it partially frozen through the entire process of grinding and mixing. And after cooking, we did lose about 6% of fat. So let's see if it made that big of a difference. No comparison. Night and day difference. This sausage has got a great snap, very juicy, great mouthfeel. I mean, the texture of the sausage is well bound together. It's not mealy, it's not crumbly. It doesn't have this kind of grainy element whenever you chew on it. Whereas this one, although the casing does have a nice snap, you know, he dried it properly and cooked it properly, it's very crumbly, very dry, and not very well held together. And so both of these sausages are edible, but one is far superior than the other. And the point that I think we've proven in this video is that temperature is absolutely critical when it comes to making a high quality sausage. Keep your temperature just above freezing, between 30 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit at the grinding stage, re-chill it, and then at the mixing stage, and you're gonna turn out an absolutely incredible high quality sausage. And that's all I got for you today. And I want to say thank you for being a part of this video. And if you like this type of content and you want to see us put other sausage making theories to the test, be sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below and kind of let me know what sausage making theories you would like to either see proven or disproven. Stuff like, should you prick your sausage or not prick your sausage? Or should you season your meat before you grind it or after you grind it? So I look forward to reading the comment section below and hearing your thoughts on the matter. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below as well. And if you like this video, a great big thumbs up is always appreciated. If you are new to this channel and this is the first video you've seen from us, we'd like to say welcome. Take a moment, click that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be notified of each one of our weekly uploads. We've got a lot of really great content on the horizon, like what the heck to do when you've made too much biltong. Is there even such a thing? Well, I've got the answer for you coming up soon. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.